Happy Saturday, everyone. Hope one out there is enjoying your weekend. Let's expand the view this morning and take a look at the jet stream on the North American view. You can definitely see we've got a ridge of high pressure that's pretty much been locked over portions of the east. We also have another area of high pressure that's locked over the Atlantic, and this is one of the reasons why it's pressing Sarah further into the coastline where they have produced some very heavy rain. So unfortunately for those areas around Honduras, that's literally just kind of hugging the coastline, just dumping torrential rains right along the coast. So it's going to be making a beeline towards, areas of Belize and finally kind of dissipate over those mountain ranges of the Yucatan. And out west, we'll be watching this trough that's going to be coming in. So things get going, I think, as we head into tomorrow, as this trough really starts to dig in deep down into the Four Corners regions. That's going to pull some of this energy down from the Gulf of Mexico. It's going to tap into that well above average temperatures and anomaly still in the Gulf. And so as this area of low pressure gets a little bit closer, we'll have pulses of energy, these little short waves. They're going to be coming out ahead of the upper level low. That should start to overturn the atmosphere, especially as things really start to turn around as the dew points start to increase. You'll have abundance amount of moisture to work with, and we should start to see showers and thunderstorms start to break out into the afternoon on Sunday, as we'll have a more of an amplified system moving in those areas across New Mexico. We're talking places like West Texas. Eventually that will deepen over the panhandle of Texas, and then really get going across portions of Oklahoma as well as into Kansas. But those could be severe down here in West Texas. I think the atmosphere really starts to light up as we head into the afternoon time frame towards that peak heating time frame. Yeah, some of those could have some larger hailstones with them and some damaging winds, likely up to 65 miles an hour, and some of the strongest activity. And as this moves across, this is expected to start to weaken, especially as we go into the overnight hours heading into Monday morning. So as they approach, say, Dallas and eastern Texas, I think they're going to be on the definitely a less severe side, just maybe some stronger thunderstorms, as we'll likely have a line of thunderstorms move through. So there's a setup on the surface map. We've got the heavier rain start to push into New Mexico, back here into West Texas. I mean, this area is just very and exceptionally bone dry. So this is actually a good sign to see some of these areas that really don't see much rainfall at all throughout the course of the year. But yes, beneficial rains in West Texas. Unfortunately, some of those could be on the severe side. And I think the heavier rains really get going with even some isolated flash flooding around the Texas Panhandle, getting into western Oklahoma. And you see out ahead of it, you just have isolated sporadic activity in the afternoon once you swing through central Texas and North Texas. But I think in the overnight hours, we'll more or less have kind of a squall line forming that'll move through, say, Dallas and Austin areas around Sunday, going into Monday morning. And then further north, the low pressure will still continue to deepen, spreading its heavier rains into Oklahoma as well as into Kansas, and eventually swing over to Arkansas and Missouri as well. And so by Tuesday, now it should be over Louisiana, areas of Arkansas, back into Missouri, as well as into Illinois, and further north into Iowa, back into Minnesota, and getting into the Dakotas. And then we'll have some snow coming in on the backside, on the northwest side, with some of that colder air that will be coming in from the northwest. So as we transition into Tuesday night and Wednesday, we'll have whatever remnants tries to come off the Yucatan, whatever may be left of Sarah, which won't be anything, just maybe some remnants of tropical moisture that will likely feed into that upper level low, but likely spread some heavier precipitation into Alabama, back into Georgia, through areas of Kentucky and Tennessee. And then we'll have some snow flying into the Dakotas and through the middle part of the country as the lows tries to deepen, and some colder air will be filtering behind it. Although it does cool off, it doesn't look nearly as significant as it did just maybe a couple of days ago. So you still get the cool down, you still get the below average temperatures for at least a couple of days, but it's not as cold as what it looked like maybe just a couple of days ago. and it's one of the reasons because of the trough. I mean, the trough really doesn't dig as far south as what it was showing just a couple of days ago. Before, it was taking more of a horseshoe trough in the middle part of the country. Now it just kind of flattens it out. And as it does, you still get the cold air underneath, but it's definitely not as amplified. And yeah, definitely not as much snow as what it was showing just maybe a couple of days ago with this system. But nonetheless, you will have an area of low pressure that's going to be forming over the Ohio Valley. And as it does, we should start to get some heavier rains move in on the front end through Illinois, Indiana, portions of Ohio, as well as into Pennsylvania. But as the low starts to deepen and you start getting that wraparound moisture, that's when some of it could start to transition into some snow up here into Michigan along the Great Lakes. And as it moves through on Friday, I think you'll start this transition into more of a lake effect snow as well. So obviously these lakes are plenty warm. It's been very mild across that region. So yes, this could likely set the stage for a perfect setup for some very heavy lake effect snows. So we should see some snows, at least in the higher elevations of New England and areas of the upper Great Lakes, and even portions of, say, Minnesota back through Wisconsin into Michigan, with that low pressure center continuing to deepen to a 989 millibar up here into northern portions of New England. So you still get the cool down further south. It won't be as significant as what we were seeing earlier, but it will at least be below average for at least a couple of days down here in the southern plains, back into the areas of the southeast. And then once you swing further north, that's where the snow will likely fly into Thursday and Friday time frame of the week ahead, with the snow unfolding with some heavier snows into Minnesota, Wisconsin, back into northern Illinois, areas of northern Indiana, areas of northern portions of Ohio, and then the higher elevations of portions of Pennsylvania, as well as upstate New York, and then right along the Great Lakes, with the combination of the warmer lakes and that wraparound, that northwest wind coming on the backside as that low pressure continues to lift northeast. You'll have that wraparound moisture on the backside. I think that's when the heavier lake effect snows would likely come to fruition. That would be on the 22nd and the 23rd time frame. So some of these could be picking up some pretty significant totals before it's all said and done. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update while I protect you before and after the storm.